Hello Libra, thank you very much for tuning in to this week's read. For the main part of the read, I'm using the Bonfire Tarot by Gabby Angus West. I used to trip and call it the Bonfire Tarot, don't know why. There's how you spell Gabby Angus West, it's hyphenated, if you want to search that out. There's also schifferbooks.com if you want to go to that website. Feel free to check that out if you're interested, naturally. Oracle cards, Energy Oracle cards by Sandra Ann Taylor. It's Ann with an E. There's a website here on the back, hayhouse.com. This one has Hay House Radio, but if you do hayhouse.com, I think that'll work. Of course, if you search out Energy Oracle cards by Sandra Ann Taylor with Ann with an E, you should find it as well. Okay, Libra. I'm getting hiccups. That's usually like an indication of negative energy for me when I start getting hiccups or burps. That too. Let's not do those if we can just avoid that. Snap. I don't know if there's anything really negative. Well, you got the hanged one, the hanged man. And I can see where if things aren't doing anything, you would not like that. Appreciation came out at the bottom here. Appreciation versus anxiety. Okay, let's see if we can balance that out. We'll see. You're trying to figure out what's going on here. I feel like if we disconnect a little bit more, I feel like the situation can loosen up a bit and it might grow a little better. I feel like we have to step back. It's kind of like, when you're tending to a plant, some plants need that challenge. When they're more challenged, it's kind of like, what am I thinking of? Sumac. When the deer chew it back, it just seems to kick in and it grows a little better. So instead of like trying to, aerate the soil and keep it protected and not let anything near it, if you really want it to grow, let the elements have its way, because when the elements have its way with it, it kind of creates more opportunity and it tends to flourish a little better. It's kind of like that's how that plant, I feel like, learned to survive. The more it got attacked, the more it seems to grow. I think. I'm not best with that. But, take that where you need to take it. I feel like you very much care. You've emotionally invested. I almost stuttered. I feel this need to take care of the situation. I have this need to get involved and make sure things work out right. It's very important to you, which makes sense, but I feel like things aren't really moving. They're stuck. And I feel like the reason they're stuck is because we have to step back and give it a chance to grow on its own and do what it needs to do naturally. Let it flourish a little bit by itself. Step back, step out of it, to the point of what? How far are we stepping out? You have to decide based on the subject how far that's doable. If it's a work situation, I'm getting like for a month, don't even touch the situation. Don't talk about it. Don't go towards it. Even if information comes your way, just put it to the side, leave it to the side, don't do anything with it. Don't search out information though. The antithesis, the other side of this is if it's like your child, well, how far can you really step back? It's one of those things where I gotta know at least what's going on, but maybe when things go a little bit out of line, I gotta think about what it is. For example, maybe you have a kid on more of a stricter diet for whatever reason. And you're looking at it, well, they're kind of sneaking cookies, but you're like, depending on their needs, can they get away with that? So if they have a sugar issue, maybe I can stack the cupboards with like low sugar things and just kind of look the other way when they're doing this, but more pay attention to like what they're stealing and when they're stealing it, why, try to figure out the why. That might be more of the thing. Like I have to step back and let it happen so I can learn more about what's really causing it, I don't know why we're doing this stealing cookies thing, because it's kind of like, I don't know, I feel weird about that one. Because it's kind of like, I keep feeling like I'm going into the cookie thing again. Can we just change that with like putting a lot of fruit out there, so that maybe see if they can go for the fruit. Try to like limit how many cookies are there and put other options out there so that they can still eat, but maybe not eat things that are so harmful for them. Can we change it that way? Can we do that? Is that a possibility so they can still get their fill without something that's too destructive for their system, at least not as destructive? Is that an option? I feel like you got to be careful though. You got to step back and just naturally see what's happening. And it's almost like maybe giving options or putting options out there without verbally saying so, but just seeing what happens and see what's naturally occurring here in this situation without literally manipulating it any more than you absolutely have to. Like if it's a danger, that's one thing. If it's just kind of like I don't really care for it, then stepping back and like, all right, let me not care for it for a while, but like let it naturally work out. Because I don't remember when this was. I think it was in the 30s or back when human rights weren't as good. There was an experiment with like children. I don't know how old the children were, but they were referred to as literal children, like before puberty children. And they took away all the societal norms about what they should eat and when they should eat. They didn't make them eat breakfast, lunch, or dinner. They just kept having food out there, and they make sure that it was always prepared so that when they wanted to eat it, they would eat it, right? And then most kids would naturally regulate themselves over time. The longer they were in that environment, the more likely they would benefit or they balance out their diet themselves. They wouldn't all eat the same type of thing for breakfast, but like if they had some sweets in the morning, they'd have some more stable stuff in the afternoon, or vice versa, or they would riddle it throughout the day, or not riddle it, what do you call that? Ration it up throughout the day. So it's kind of like you want to step back and see what the natural, how this situation naturally goes on its own. Would it regulate itself in its own way, still in a positive outcome, but it's in a different way than maybe you were thinking it would happen? Because I feel like if you're able to step back and you let this situation start flourishing on its own, you may be surprised that it actually helps or balances out on its own, and it may unstick this situation from what it's actually doing currently. With your involvement, I feel like it's not really moving though, it's stuck. This might unstick the situation. Because I feel like the situation needs to heal, but it's kind of like it needs to have time to like do what it needs to do on its own without too much involvement. It needs to naturally move forward. The healing will come forward, but it needs to do it on its own in its own way. It's not bad that you want to help, but for whatever's stuck here, this is what's going to actually help move it forward. It's kind of like a person that is used to other people taking care of them. When nobody's there to do it, and they want something, and they're like, I really want that, and they realize nobody's going to do it for me, they start looking for different ways to make it happen on their own. They become more self-sufficient. They might have a moment of indecision, but they'll also realize the decision is going to hinge on, for example, say, I'm at home, there's no cookies here, but I want oatmeal cookies. And maybe I'm used to people bringing me oatmeal cookies. After 3 or 4 days, nobody's coming to bring me oatmeal cookies, and I have to ask myself, how bad do I want those cookies? And then I have to decide if I want them bad enough, I'm going to have to go get them or make them or something like that. The default decision is, if I don't get up and do something to make that happen, I just don't get them. So the longer it goes, the more I want them, the more apt I am to make a decision to make that happen on my own. You know what I mean? And it changes the pattern of a situation. Instead of me depending on somebody else to get me cookies, I start thinking of ways like, what type of cookie do I want? What quality of cookie do I want? Is just a bag of Oreos going to do it? Or do I need to, like, if I really want oatmeal cookies, that's not an Oreo. Do I want a store-bought one, which can be a little bit too hard? Or do I want to make them myself that are more satisfying? I have to go through this indecision, and I keep defaulting to, like, if I don't do it, I don't get them. So I start making that progress myself. I think you follow me on that. Because I feel like whatever you're doing, it may be enabling them to not actually make the change. They need to make the change in a self-sufficient, more empowered way so that they sustain their own situation that they want to happen. This will break this loose so things move forward. The magician coming forward. The magician won't show up until they feel like they won't get what they want unless they actually make it happen themselves. To some degree. To some degree. You know? There's more value coming in here. When you see it unstuck and it's moving forward, I'm going to use the word enable. Okay. You're going to enable where you feel it fit. Enable what works. So for example, me, oatmeal cookies. I want oatmeal cookies. And you're like watching what I'm doing. And you're like, well, I don't think you should have all that much sugar. So it's almost like I'll enable in the sense of like I'll bring, swerve. I'll make sure that, there's swerve in the kitchen. And I'll get this healthy oatmeal. Healthy, I don't know. I'll put healthy ingredients in the kitchen. I'll stock it with healthy ingredients. So I'm enabling in the sense of like I'm making sure the ingredients are there, but I'm kind of like I'm going to put this good type of sugar, subjective to how you feel about it. I'm going to make sure that this type of shortening is there that I think is a better option. You're kind of like making it so like you want them. I'll make it so you have the supplies to make them in more of a healthy way. But I'm not going to like just go buy oatmeal cookies and just leave them. Like if I think they're too sugary, I'm not going to bring those. I'm not going to get that. I'm going to enable in a way to like I'll have those things there, and even maybe every now and then I'll help you make them. But I'll put it more in a way to where maybe there's a little bit more effort that has to happen. That way, if you really want them, we'll make them happen. Enabling in that way. I think you easily get what I'm saying with that. It does promote more healing. The healing card came out twice. First, they have to make decisions on their own. Then, the healing with the value, the door to value, and the Empress. The Empress is very self-sufficient. When the Empress is in balance, they help themselves. They don't just help other people. They help themselves as well as other people. They help other people, but they include themselves in the group. When the Empress is out of balance, they help everybody else but themselves, and they get depleted, and it's not okay. So this could be something where it might even be empowering for this person to be looking out for other people and to help other people while they're helping themselves. It should create a situation of value and healing to where not only are they doing good for them, but they're helping others as well. We want to promote them helping others as well. Keep that in mind. If there's something that can make this go much more better and much more sustainable, it's not only where they have the value in getting what they want, but they see the value in not only getting what they want, but also sharing it with others. And that's what you want to enable that option as much as possible too. And maybe even should throw a little bit of praise that way. Oh, wow, you did those oatmeal cookies and everybody loved them. And so-and-so, that's a healthier option for so-and-so as well. Clearly it's a healthier option for them, but also for so-and-so, especially if you're getting certain ingredients. Apparently I like cooking analogies. Hopefully this makes sense. That first part I feel like is the hardest part. Stepping back and just letting it kind of do what it needs to do and stepping back as much as possible and letting it be there as long as you can afford to do so. You're going to get this great outcome. You get a wonderful Two of Cups outcome. It will be perfect. It'll be great. What else? Because I feel like when I saw it in the beginning, I'm like, this is an interesting way to look at this. Appreciation versus anxiety. You'll appreciate it afterwards. I see that more. You may get some anxiety letting it happen. Maybe that's a better way to put this. Maybe it's going to be a little bit of an anxiety for you to let it happen this way, but you'll appreciate the outcome if you can get through it. I just feel like I needed to revisit that because I'm just like, maybe that came off a little bit weird in the beginning. Anything else? All right, I think we're there. I'm going to shut this down here. I hope that helps. Thank you for watching. If you'd like a direct reading from me, shoot me an email, jamesforastral@gmail.com. That's James, the number 4, astral@gmail.com. If you're interested in the donation information, that's below. Same email. All that's down there. Thank you very much for watching, and have a great day.